And then how do you think we can reach out to those who are impacted the most by the cuts that we're going to see to social services in the county's future?
Yeah, I mean, the what the county executive predicts for next year in his budget message is really bad. I mean, they're projecting like $90 million deficits. This big, beautiful bill in Washington is going to have terrible effects locally, especially, for things like Medicaid and, food stamps and other programs that people rely on. It hasn't even hit here yet. So next year is going to be even worse. And on top of that, they're talking about spending $430 million for a new jail. And if they do that, they're going to have to raise taxes next year. Next year is a real mess. Um, so, yeah, we have to start, making people aware of what's coming, because it's going to affect people and they probably don't even realize it at this point.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are just trying to go about their daily activities. A lot of people do live paycheck to paycheck and
Right.
aren't necessarily sitting down and reading a newspaper, even though that's not necessarily how most people consume information anymore. They may not be reading news articles on the
Right.
internet. Um, do you find it beneficial for people to run for local office? I mean, if they have problems that they see in their community, like let's look at like the 33 project, for instance. That's something where a lot of people locally have been at events like at the hearings. Um, Also, some people have had protests as well.
Yeah, I think we definitely need more people to run for office. It's a great opportunity. I did it once myself. I did it back in I think it was 2011. I ran for Tonawanda Town Clerk. There were four candidates running. I ran as a complete independent Democrat, and I was proud that I came in third, not fourth, but nonetheless, I think I got like 13% of the vote, which for an independent probably isn't bad. But it was a good experience. I went door to door and I talked to people, and you've done a lot of door to door. You learn a lot. And more people should do it, really. We need people to get out there and challenge some of these people. Make them work for it and, have a debate about the issues that are important to you.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. I really do. Now, if you were mentioning that you had talked about the ballot access at the county level, now I'm assuming from my limited knowledge that that wouldn't apply for like assembly candidates or for state senate candidates,
Right. That
because
would
that's
have to
set by the
be
state.
Yeah, that would have to be changed at the state level. I can't even believe it's legal that you can, have 500 signatures required for Democrat and Republicans and 1,500 for independents. I looked into it. I said, this has to be like a constitutional equal protection argument. I've talked to a couple election attorneys and did some research, and it has been litigated, and the courts have said, well, the state legislature can set the rules. But, and I read that statute and I didn't read it close enough. It was an election attorney that told me, read what it says. It says up to 1,500 signatures, so it can be lower. And I said, geez, I didn't catch that. New York City lowered their signature requirement. Amazingly, you need more signatures to run for common council in Buffalo or county legislator here than you do to run for council in New York City. They need like 450 signatures there. It's unbelievable. Um, so it can be changed, but to change it throughout the state, we'd have to do it at the state legislature. I'm trying to at least maybe get city of Buffalo to change it and the county to change it for county offices and maybe build on that.
That would be amazing. Um, I know what you're saying in terms of, we have the Constitution, so you do have a right to, petition the government. You do have a right for freedom of speech, which is kind of hindered if you're not able to have choices on a ballot. Um, and there has been litigation, I know, and Well, I'm wondering if for congressional races that would also apply for the states, because I think there's gray area, right? I mean, even in terms of who is on the ballot for presidential candidate, right? That's some gray area where, yeah, the state does oversee elections, but there is also some interpretation of the Constitution for federal elections, I think. I think it was
Yeah, yeah,
Anderson
yeah.
was a case, was it Anderson that was a case that was in front of the Supreme Court for litigation?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I should do a lot more research on it. But in terms of the county changing the ballot access laws, um, have you had any good conversations in regards to just one-on-ones with the legislators?
No, I just spoke to them all today. I'm going to follow up with emails. I did send one email to a legislator tonight asking them if they were interested. So we'll see. Just got to get one person willing to at least file something. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how New York City has 450 signatures and for common council it's 1,500. That's absolutely crazy to me. And I think a lot of that really does come down to the fact that the majority of people do not have any idea what any of that means. And so I really wish that we had more opportunities to get people more of some civic knowledge. I know when I went to high school, we were sent to go to a common council or, and my situation, the town board meeting, and just take down notes of what was talked about,
Right.
which could be seen as very boring. But when you get older, you do realize, there's importance to how local taxes affect, your home ownership.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely got to make people more aware of, how all this impacts their daily lives.
Yeah, and I think people also get frustrated. I know I've gone door to door, and a lot of people just say, that they're not going to look out for me. But then also a lot of people I talk to in my generation, they just don't see how it impacts their life at all. They just say, "Hey, I don't have any, politics doesn't affect me." That's really what I
Yeah,
hear a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. And I mean, it's amazing. Politicians affect, the delivery of your water, sewers, elections. They have their fingers in it all. The Erie County Water Authority, you would think just delivering water is, the most politicized agency around. It's a patronage dumping ground. It's just unbelievable. They stick their fingers everywhere. And we got to get away. I think, party bosses are strangling this community. That's why, I became an independent. It's all about their gang. It's service to the party before service to the public. Um, and that's not how this is supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And I don't know if you're in the Senate district that I'm in, but Sean Ryan's going to be the mayor of Buffalo. Do you have any thoughts on that race that's coming up for that
Well, and
district?
I was going to mention that. That's another bad example. So now there's going to be a special election, and the way the special election works is the party bosses pick their candidate. So the Democrats pick a candidate, the Republicans pick a candidate. There's no open process of petitioning to get on the ballot. That's not how an election should be. How is it that the state election law lets the party chairs pick the candidates? It should be like any other election. You have time to file petitions. You want to run, get on the ballot. It's amazing how, again, the parties have co-opted the election law and how elections even happen. So now you got to, whatever bosses decide is going to more than likely, be the person that wins, and that gives them all the advantages of being an incumbent. And then if you do a primary or a general, they got a way big head start now. So, and it was handed to them for the most part.
Yeah, I think it's going to be sad to see this special election. I don't think we're going to see a lot of voter turnout. Do you have any thoughts on the governor's election that's coming up at all?
I think, I'm all about transparency and open government. Kathy Hochul, when she got elected, promised a new era of transparency. And like a lot of politicians, she talked a good game and has not done it. She recently vetoed a bill that would have made some improvements to the Freedom of Information law. So I am not a Hochul fan, at least as far as the open government issue goes. We'll see if she turns it around in an election year because I think, she's in trouble and she should, embrace transparency and get some, legislation passed and nice news editorials that'll help her. But she's been very resistant to doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I really do appreciate all of the work that you've done throughout the years. It's extremely important. And I wish that we would have more local attorneys, share their knowledge about how we can affect change.
Well, thanks. And I appreciate your interest in even talking about it and the stuff that you do as well.
I appreciate that. And we can definitely talk again. So thank you, and you have a wonderful night. Stay safe.
All right, take care.